Time to get real. I want to see some crazy Wiz Biz.
What's the magic made out of, ding dong?
I want to see some of that Wiz Biz.
This castle is in unacceptable condition! Unacceptable! Mathematical! You terrible like that.
Bacon pancake.
Welcome back to Wiz Biz with Alexx and Erik, where we explore all the dark secrets and hidden crevices and wonderful magic of Adventure Time. This episode, we are going to be covering Season 1, Episode 4, titled Tree Trunks, and Season 1, Episode 5, titled The Enchiridion. Alexx, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Wait, I guess you should probably welcome me to the show.
I mean, it's both of our shows.
Yeah, but it's in your dungeon.
Okay, welcome to the Echo Chamber. That's right, the room with the creepy door. That was the old Alexx cast opening. Because that door, so we're recording in a basement of a house that was built in 1904, I think.
It has ghosts.
And it's half it's half livable. But there's this giant door that's 5 feet wide, maybe.
Yeah, it's an odd door.
It's because on the other side, when I moved in, there was a latch and a lock to lock the room shut.
Oh, it's a werewolf door.
It's a werewolf door, exactly. Okay. So it was the room with the creepy door, so much to the point that when I would have female guests on, I started to feel very creepy about it because I'm like, I literally have a fucking dungeon down here that I could lock someone in. Uh-huh. So I used my very vast home improvement skills to take that lock off the door to make it slightly less creepy. It didn't work.
Just trying to tell us that you own a Phillips head screwdriver?
I mean, that wasn't the point of the story, but that is, in fact, what it involved doing. But I don't, I'm an intellectual. I don't know how to fix things. What am I going to do? Get grease on my fingers?
Oh, I mean, maybe intellectual grease.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm not some kind of ham and egger that goes to work and makes a real living. No.
Right.
I read books.
Okay, Alexx, let's talk a little bit. Okay, we have to get this over with. So I know that Season 1, Episode 4 is probably going to include more swear words from Alexx than any other analysis we do because you hate tree trunks.
Okay, well, let's be fair here.
Okay.
It's not that I hate tree trunks. It's that I fucking abhor her.
Well,
I loathe tree... No, I don't. I find the character to be slightly irritating, and it is a fault of my own. I get why people would like it, but people that are unaware of their surroundings and just kind of do their way through life, I find infuriating because I am an overthinker, and it has held me back my entire life. So someone just going oh, I guess I'll just walk over here and everything's going to work out fine because someone's going to save me. Motherfucker, no one saved me. I have to overthink everything. Do you know how far ahead I think about what side I'm going to pass that person to the sidewalk?
Okay,
Very far is the answer.
Slow down there, cowboy. So, I mean, that's, I think, really a poignant way to look at it. But also, at the same time, this episode demonstrates that, Finn has that same relationship with Jake. And Finn's a kid, so he's, 10 or something in this episode. But he does the stupidest shit possible and is only alive because Jake is always there to save his life.
Yes, but I would argue the reason it doesn't annoy me with Finn, 1, he's 10. 2, he literally lives with a magical, near-immortal being that's next to him his entire life. So I'll tell you right now, I would not be nearly as hyper-vigilant is the term of the disorder. I would not be nearly as hyper-vigilant if I had a sentient god creature walking next to me that would protect me, that could we could jump off a cliff together and be fine. And also, I live in a reality where I bounce back from everything. This is octogenarian, I'm going to guess.
Tree Trunks has dementia of some sort, for sure.
And so she should know better at this point. Not saying the dementia part, but she's old enough. So she's doesn't have the 10-year-old excuse, and she doesn't live with a magical creature that could save her life.
Yet.
True. Right. Maybe later, because honestly, I do feel like as Tree Trunks moves on through the show, I find her less irritating.
Yeah, I feel like even in this episode, she does have some good insight into her own character, but also as her character develops, as we get more of her backstory, we start to see she's kind of a badass. Even though she is annoying, she's a badass, and she ends up both of these episodes, actually, one of the things that I really like about them is that they are part of the sort of like core story of Adventure Time. Tree Trunks and the Enchiridion are essential elements of the whole story of the Lich.
I agree with the Enchiridion, and I'm not disagreeing with Tree Trunks, but I think I forget why she connects to the Lich.
Because after the Lich gets imprisoned in the body of the baby, Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig take care of the baby,
yes.
even though they know that the Lich is in there.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was thinking the Lich showing up originally, but yeah, when it turns into that kind of... There was
I can't remember what they call
old
him.
Looney Tunes character. There's kind of like that kind of like giant baby thing.
Yeah.
Correct. I do like, that's one of the things I'm enjoying about going back and talking about these episodes in depth, is how we're getting the skeleton of the later show, and like they're really rushing. I mean, I guess it happens with anything. Like I'm watching One Piece right now, that anime. Well, it's based on a manga.
Oh yeah. I've watched a few episodes of that.
But like the first episodes, it's just like let's meet all the people we need to meet in order for the show to happen. And I kind of forgot that Adventure Time did that, and I've always had it in my head that Adventure Time was just this slapdash thing that eventually turned into something very complicated.
Yeah, it feels like slapdash.
But it feels like at least he knew the characters he wanted to introduce. You know, he knew there was a world of X size, and not X size, but size of X.
Yeah. I think you're right. You know, I mean, like last time when we talked about the Ice King introduction, you know, there was the post-apocalyptic office chair sled, for instance. Yes. And then there's also stuff like both of these episodes have some fun D&D references. So in this one you have... I don't feel like this one has them being as overt, but they're still sort of like, let's go on a quest, you know, let's go get the magic crystal apple, the crystal gem apple in the evil dark forest, which is a very, very D&D tropish sort of quest. But like the first monster they run into is this weird wall of flesh that's like hanging out on the ground.
Yes, which is super D&D.
It's so D&D. Like a lot of the really classic D&D characters are things that disguise themselves as part of the dungeon. You know, there's like I can't remember any of the names. There's like a lurker. There's one that looks like a stalagmite that comes to life. That's the roper, I think. There's there's one that looks like the ceiling that like drops down and tries to eat you. Yeah, and then of course there's the mimic, which I think is probably the most famous of them, which disguises itself as treasure chests and furniture and things like that.
That's like Ditto from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Let's talk about D&D for a second here.
Okay.
What is your Wait. Before we talk about D&D, one specific D&D question before we get into the overall. Is the Enchiridion in Dungeons and Dragons? Like that named book?
No, I don't think so.
Because there's a card-based computer game I love. I've been playing for years now called Slay the Spire. And one of their... bonuses, I'll call them, because it's too complicated to explain what it actually is. You can get the Enchiridion. And it doesn't really have much to do with it, but because they called it by name, I was wondering if that's that was in D&D Pack 4 or whatever, you know?
No, I don't think it was ever in D&D, but, you know, magic books are definitely part of D&D.
Yeah. So what's your D&D background?
I mean, honestly, I started playing D&D probably in, like, 2nd or 3rd grade. During the, like, right before the Satanic Panic. Yeah. And it was a sort of, I mean, okay, I'm going to tell part of my secret origin story, and for those of you listening out there, you know, if you think that it sounds too ridiculous to be true, we encourage you to send us a postcard to our fictional mailing address.
Yes.
So I grew up in a small town in Oregon, and my father helped start the Unitarian Universalist Church in this town, because, you know, I don't know, I don't pretend to understand all the motivations of my father, but he's a fascinating guy. He's very tough. He's like super left-wing Clint Eastwood. Oh. You know, if Clint Eastwood, instead of talking to empty chairs and wanting to be a Republican douchebag, was instead like a good guy Democrat who tried to help people, that'd be my dad.
That's hard to imagine, but I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay. Yeah. So my dad helped start the Unitarian Universalist Church branch in this town that I grew up in, and when I was there, I met this like amazing group of this amazing family. Right, like they're probably, I think, 3 or 4 siblings, like 2 sisters and 2 brothers. I don't remember exactly, but the older brother I kind of like sort of hero worshipped. He was the cool kid. Yeah, and he played D&D. So we started playing D&D, and I didn't really understand what the rules were, or that there even were rules. But, like, I remember, you know, that first week after after UU Sunday School, which was just D&D, I guess, for probably a year. We just went to, Sunday mornings, all of our parents went to do whatever UUs do, and we played D&D in the back room of the Knights of Pythias Hall. So at school, we were doing these math exercises where we used these math dice, and there were dice of all different sizes, different numbers of sides and stuff that you would use to, do math problems. I don't remember exactly what we did, but I know what my friends and I did is we stole math dice, and at recess, we played D&D. Or we made it up. We made up the rules. We were rolling the dice and having adventures and doing dungeons and all this sort of stuff. And this group of friends and I, we just continued, eventually we got boxed sets of D&D. We played tons and tons of different tabletop role-playing games. And I ended up playing D&D pretty solidly up. I mean, there were breaks. College was tough on the D&D crowd, on my D&D crowd. But, probably up until 2006 or so, I played D&D really regularly.
Wow.
And then after that, I sold off almost as much of my D&D stuff as I could. I had collected so many D&D books. It was insane the number of D&D books I had. And I sold a ton of them. And then I play again now, but not as seriously as I did back then. My apologies for the long ramble, but that was a D&D story. I
liked your long ramble, and it will be offset by my D&D origin stories. I played once in 8th grade and hated it. The end. So, no, I had a really shitty dungeon master.
Uh-huh.
In later years, when learning what D&D was supposed to look like, that sentence was horrific, but I think you understood what I was trying to say. I am jealously looking at D&D and wishing I had a group to play with that was understanding of a new player. I've played one since then, and then I played one round of some Lovecraftian thing that John from John
Call of Cthulhu.
I think that was it. I think that was it.
That is a fun game.
Yeah, which I kind of enjoyed myself, but I didn't really get into it. I didn't, commit to the character, kind of, etc. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to have a chance to maybe, stop being such a shy little boy and actually do a character thing and play Dungeons and Dragons. But I've not done it yet. So my Dungeons and Dragons knowledge is very limited to Eddie Munson and the other D&D characters we see on TV.
Have you ever checked out any of those those live D&D play podcasts?
I have watched some Critical Role, which everybody says is great, and I got it. And I watched they made a TV show out of it.
Yeah. I thought the TV show was pretty entertaining.
It was pretty good. So I like the idea. And I liked Dan Harmon used to play Dungeons and Dragons on his podcast.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed greatly. So so there's our Dungeons and Dragons background, because I realized this is something we probably should have set up earlier. Is that because Dungeons and Dragons, this whole first season is really, this is a Dungeons and Dragons based show almost. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things. So
yeah, it is.
Back to Tree Trunks.
Tree Trunks, as Finn says in this episode, is old and bonkers.
Yes.
So there's a few things in this episode that I thought that kind of stood out to me. I know I mentioned a couple of them already. Tree Trunks is not just old and bonkers, but she's also manipulative, right? There's definitely a thing in this episode. She basically tricks Finn and Jake into taking her on this quest to get the crystal gem apple. And also, the little snail that shows up sometimes is in this episode on the picnic blanket.
I meant to bring that up. I remember when I first started watching the show that there was a rumor that snail was in every episode. Now, I don't know this. It's just that was going around the playground.
Yeah. There's actually,
my late 30s.
There's actually another little tiny character, this little itty-bitty man that shows up in a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
Sometimes in, Princess Bubblegum's pocket. I haven't paid attention to spot them all, but I know that, on the Adventure Time subreddit, there's, I who obsessively look for this sort of stuff. We aren't as obsessive as some Adventure Time fans, and we probably never will be.
No, I mean, I'm good with my level of, I know the name of the guy that makes the show. That's pretty much it. I don't know most of the voice cast. I'm good. I find the show fun to watch. I'm a big fan of just enjoying the thing that the creator made and not have to get all obsessed about the lives of the people behind it. Just watch the fucking show.
Yeah,
it's good.
Lucy Liu does Tree Trunks.
Really?
No, of course not. Good grief.
That could be Lucy Liu. She's a talented person. So one of the things I did. So on your manipulative note.
Yeah.
it could be argued for a slight moment in the episode that she was doing it accidentally. But then later in the episode, she goes, I'll use my feminine wiles to win this person over.
Oh
and she
my
puts
God. Are you doing Tree Trunks? Were you Tree Trunks?
What, I mean,
that was perfect.
Was it? Was that even close?
Yeah, that was amazing. Can you say a fly landed on my pie? That's not good.
I already lost it. A fly landed on my pie, and that means I have to throw it out because you were
close. You were close.
I don't remember the quote, but okay. The point is, she's going to use her feminine wiles to win the thing over, and it's like, no, you're aware. You think my adaptation in this situation is to find out how to manipulate the person I'm interacting with to win me over. I'll try to put stickers on this, although incredibly stupid solution, but
still manipulative.
In the world of Adventure Time, probably could work.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are so many monsters that would work on.
I bet there was a version of this episode that they, or at least in the writer's room, they debated whether her stupid ideas would work.
Yeah.
That the wall flesh becomes their friend because she puts, because this show works that way. But her being manipulative is clear on that, which doesn't endear her to be, any more than.
I've just remembered one of my favorite jokes in that episode is when she's doing the stickers and she pulls out she's like, this one's a holographic unicorn, but it doesn't have a horn.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's just a horse.
Yeah. Well, oh no, there are horses in this world. We meet horses later. I was going to say, maybe horses don't exist anymore.
Horse.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things I love about this episode is the random things they run into. Those little skull butterflies.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, if I was in high school or below, I would be mildly obsessed with those things. I'd have them on t-shirts. I'd get little pins of them. They're so cool.
When I hadn't watched this episode in a long time, and I watched it again and I saw those skull butterflies, I was like, oh shit, Tree Trunks is so screwed. Those things look awful. But they ended up just making a band.
Yeah, no, they're so great. Now here's one of the rare times I'm going to grab quotes from it, because I feel like this is a very important sequence. I'm not going to do their voices because I can't. Jake says, she'll be fine, everything's fine. But the monsters, it's fine. Are you sure? Because she has zero adventurer training. Yeah, well, it's fine. She'll be fine. Riri, it's fine. Maybe it is fine. That is such an encapsulation of
Jake.
The dynamic of the show.
Jake really is a babysitter, though, for a very, very long time. He keeps Finn alive. He keeps all these idiot characters that go adventuring with them. Finn just sort of Jake keeps them all alive.
Yeah.
We see it in the Enchiridion also. Finn wouldn't have finished that adventure without Jake, mainly because Jake is like, dude, don't be an idiot,
Yeah.
But also because Jake is constantly saving his life.
Oh, the other thing I like, the small moments in this, is the evil signposts.
Oh yeah,
that beat the shit out of Finn. Very amusing. And the crystal guardian that's surrounding the tree.
Oh right.
That it's like this weird mocking homunculus thing that's just mimicking. It is so great. That is such a delightful moment.
Both of them have the experience of trying to punch it and hurting themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also it ends up being the moment where they learn from Tree Trunks, right? That's the lesson moment. They learn from Tree Trunks how to defeat the monster because they see what she's doing, and they're like, "Oh, we can manipulate the monster."
Yeah, but what a hideous lesson!
Aren't all their lessons kind of hideous?
Hey kids, you know what's going to help you in life? Gaslighting. It's good. It hurts no one. Just run with it.
All right, and then so I'm almost certain that this gets resolved in another episode, but at the end, Tree Trunks pops.
Okay.
And then she shows up dancing along in the crystal. And I think in another episode, they actually go to a crystal world and rescue her.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is one of the setups. So there's a running theme that's going to happen in the show, and it's going to show up later if we keep doing the show for long enough to get there. But that I think a lot of Adventure Time is based on Mahabharata. That it is ancient, the cosmic comet is the yugas. It's the Mahabharata is the story of the gods saying this is we're reenacting the creation myth on the earth using the Pandavas and the Kauravas. I mispronounced both those words. Yada yada. But the point is, when she bites into the apple, the first note of it happens where you get weird Tibetan throat singing happens when she gets sucked into the crystal realm. It's small. it doesn't mean anything by itself, but as the show progresses and you get the dual-headed mystic war elephant, which is directly from the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, it's not directly, but it's so fucking Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
So this is...
The psychic tandem war elephant.
That's it. So I just want to, as they come up, I'm not going to do it for all of them, but I want to just point out the little bits of evidence to try to build my theory that this is, because it's also the hero that can, there's a lot of it. Like I think Finn is Arjuna.
You think Finn is Arjuna?
Yeah, he's the lead. He's the lead of the family we're watching.
Right,
and then
right.
Jake is
Bhima.
Bhima and Bhishma, I get confused. Bhima's the one that's his brother. Bhishma's his cousin.
Oh God, you might be right.
I get him. I've confused that my whole life. But anyway, the point is, there's no point. That's what I'm running with.
Who's Krishna?
Yeah, I don't know.
Prismo?
Yeah, I was gonna say Commander Nanjani, whoever he plays.
Okay, all right. So I think now it's time for our first segment.
Yes.
What is our first segment?
I've been collecting some shiny rocks, if you'd like them.
Oh, Alex, tell us about a shiny rock.
All right, so would you like... I've got 2 interesting words that are combined, or an interesting etymology that you're probably unaware of. I think those are our choices.
Honestly, we have a really shiny rock in the title of the next episode.
The Enchiridion?
Yeah, that's a cool word, and it's a real word.
All right, so I'll go with the words.
Okay, let's do a word.
Eric, do you know what a skeuomorph is?
Hold on. Let me try to figure this out.
Skeuomorph.
Skeuomorph. That would have to be a... Okay, I have a couple of guesses. First would be an animal who catches prey by impaling it on spines. And my second would be an animal that skis.
You're really close.
Okay, does it ski with spines?
I'm not sure about the skiing, but let me give you the answer, and then you can see how close you were.
Okay.
A skeuomorph is generally an icon that represents something that it no longer is, much like the save icon.
Right. Oh my God, that's one of my... I love that word. I learned that word a long time ago, and then I forgot
You may have learned it from me, because I was obsessed with that word. I think I told everybody I know. Okay.
I learned it back when I was studying user design stuff.
Because when I found this word a while ago, I was obsessed. Anytime I find it, it really is. Look at this cool rock I found.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I bring this up is I've been obsessed with skeuomorph for a while. I've got my favorite words that happen for a while, but I have an add-on to skeuomorph, which I very much like.
Ooh.
There's something referred to as a linguistic skeuomorph.
Okay, give me an example.
I'm pulling up the example right here, because if I were to call you, I'd dial my phone.
Right. Oh, right.
We don't dial. I would hang up with you after my phone call's done.
And you pick up the phone.
Yes.
And I guess sometimes we do actually pick up the phone, but we also have to push a button.
Yes.
I think that there are some skeuomorphs related to horses and cars, probably.
Roll down the window in your car.
Roll down the window.
No, although some cars still technically have the roll function, but that's a good example.
Turn up the radio.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Almost always it's just a button.
Or tune into a station.
Oh, right.
Turn the dial.
Turn the dial.
Yeah. Don't
touch that dial.
Yeah, so that is a linguistic skeuomorph.
Linguistic skeuomorph.
I should have gotten more examples, but I forgot to.
Oh, maybe some will come to us as we're going along.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a ton of it. It's these things that you reference, much like the save icon is this reference that we all know, but linguistic skeuomorph is, hang up the phone, dial the phone. It's
what was the I saw a joke about the save icon recently where somebody had a 3.5-inch floppy and their kid was like, "Oh, you 3D printed the save icon."
Yes. Yeah, I heard that told as like a real anecdote at one point, and I have this theory, and run with me here.
Okay.
Is that anytime you hear stories about a little kid that doesn't understand something, it's just a dumb little kid. Because you have USB drives. It's the same fucking thing. Shove thing in thing memory happen. This is not some Eldritch. It's not cuneiform reads. I mean, it's literally a different kind of media.
Okay, I don't know if you've ever met a little kid, Alex, but they're all stupid.
No, but they're good at tech. I bet you handed a kid a Nintendo with the cartridge not in it. Within 30 seconds, they'd figure out, shove the cartridge in, push.
We have had a much different experience of children. I have to say, if I handed a kid a Nintendo cartridge, within 30 seconds, I would expect something to be broken.
Well, how old of a kid are we talking?
I don't know. Any kid?
I was picturing like first grade.
I would say anything under 25.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can't disagree with you, but I don't know if I agree with you. So
Okay,
anyway,
that's fine.
The point of the segment was that little kids are fucking idiots.
Yeah, little kids are idiots, and that's why Adventure Time works.
Yes, and skeuomorphs.
Okay, yes, skeuomorphs. Man, that's such a good word. Thank you so much. I'm writing it down. How do you spell it again?
I already deleted it. Sorry, it's SKUO. Skeuo. I think there's an E in there.
Did you put
Morph.
a W in there?
No.
SKUO.
I think. Can I Oh, I can't undo enough. SKEUO morph.
Jesus.
Sorry.
SKEUO morph.
To be fair, I did spell it earlier and then deleted it. It's not my fault. You can't remember
Why
a simple
did you
thing.
spell it and delete it?
Because I was done with the note. I have to keep my file
Wait,
clean.
do you delete the notes when you're done with them?
Yeah.
That is a weird way to do things.
Why-
But that's okay. I
but
understand.
why would
Kids are not always that great with tech.
But why would I keep a thing? What if, like, 10 episodes from now, I don't remember if I've done linguistic skeuomorph?
That's why you keep it.
No, but then it's not on my list. So you want me to have two lists, one that I've used and one that I haven't?
Well, you have a list and you mark. Oh my god, I'm not gonna try to explain.
I feel like deleting it is the same as like putting a cross through it.
No,
Yeah?
no, not really. Like so.
Give my people at home. Eric takes all of his notes using a pen and a piece of what's that parchment?
It's vellum, all right.
Vellum,
It's
yeah.
vellum.
Papyrus.
I
Eric
mean,
comes in with scrolls of papyrus with
I
linen
use
ribbons.
a stylus and a wax
Yeah.
tablet like a modern person.
Yeah.
No, but I actually, so as a self-employed person, I have to have like really good organization on my computer. So I use a system called org mode where I do keep lists and notes and
Yeah.
stuff. And then I can mark things as done, and then I can also archive them, and it moves them to a different file. So they're still there. Like I can search.
Oh no,
them
I got
through.
you. No, your way is far more professional. But like for a two word thing I per episode, is it just easier to just delete it to keep the file clean?
I feel like you would be horrified if you saw my Arnemancy podcast notes archive. You would be like, Eric, what in the holy fuck are you doing? This is too many notes.
Yeah.
I feel like I violated all of the principles that you told me when you first took me under your podcasting wing back in.
Well, okay. To be fair, I don't think we ever went
5
over
years ago.
notes when we did that.
We didn't. We talked about editing a lot and other things.
The notes thing, I don't have a problem keeping old notes. There's a certain point of if you haven't, Marie Kondo style, if you haven't used it in a year, what's the point of having it there? But a note,
Text-based notes.
no, that's what I
Dude,
mean. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm using, and I should find a better reason. So I use Google Keep for my notes.
Wow. Does that still exist?
Yes.
Wow.
I used to use Evernote, and then it lost a whole bunch of my stuff, so I gave up and went with Google Keep. But I don't want to have, the way their setup is terrible, so I don't want to fill it with like all these things that I start losing. I want the availability of information directly in front of me. So basically, I'm just using a terrible system, but I like the idea of just deleting it, and then there's no way to get, extraneous information.
I have to say, our Shiny Rock segment has gone so totally off the rails. I don't even know where we are anymore.
Well, we don't have to do all segment, whatever. We could chat. We're people.
That's true. I was just giving you a hard time. But I do think it's time.
It's not my fault that I don't have a fancy pen.
Oh my God. This one broke.
Yeah.
But,
hey, you know what didn't
it still
break?
works.
Google Keep.
Okay, fine. However, you know what didn't continue to destroy the rainforest every time I send electrons through it? Well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally writing on a dead tree, dude. That got shipped to the country, most likely on a ship from China.
I think this is German.
Yeah, so just vomiting like chlorofluorocarbons, which probably not those, but just vomiting horrors and then like just full cases of shit falling off like that. You having that piece of paper is responsible for like an entire box of rubber duckies falling into the ocean.
That's probably true. Yeah. All right, I'll buy it. Okay, but I do think it's time for us to explore Princess Bubblegum's secret entrance.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a few episodes, but finally we're getting sexy.
I know. I mean, this one, Bubblegum flirts with Finn in this episode. We're talking about the Enchiridion now. Season 1, Episode 5. The Enchiridion.
Enchiridion, correct.
Which, it's again, like, it's one of those episodes that's really sort of kind of fun and cute. There's some interesting D&D references. I think that actually the lesson that comes out of this episode for Finn is a really good one about sort of virtue and righteousness.
Yeah.
And sticking by sort of like his core of goodness.
You mean like obeying the Dharma that was given to him?
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder where that's going to lead. I'm stroking my beard thoughtfully, people at home.
Alex just gave me the creepiest look ever.
Oh, if you think, oh, jeez. I could get worse than that.
No, let's not. So this episode is about a book called the Enchiridion that Finn and Jake go on a quest to find. But there's just this hilarious thing in the beginning where they're having this party in the Candy Kingdom. A lot of episodes kind of start that way. Like, you get the impression that when Jake and Finn aren't on their adventures, their life is filled with frivolity. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand where their food comes from or how they manage to get enough nutrition to stay alive. Like, So bubblegum is like, well, let's go into my... So what happens? Like, he saves Princess Bubblegum.
So yeah, the kind of
falls
Eclair guy tries to do a backflip, hits his head on the castle. The castle starts falling. She falls out. Finn catches her about a foot from the ground, and inexplicably that saves her. Which
Jake saves her.
No, Finn does.
Jake saves both of them.
No, Finn
Right?
does. Finn dives and catches her about a foot from the ground.
Right. Oh,
Because
yeah,
you were saying
Jake
that's kind of the flirt thing, because he's holding her and his face gets all flushed because he's grabbing them buns.
Oh, yeah, but also, like, Bubblegum's like, oh, come into my secret entrance. Everybody turn around. And so they go
and
into
Jake
the
doesn't
secret
follow. We keep in mind,
Right, Jake doesn't follow. Well, because Jake wants Finn to grow up. Jake knows that... Because Jake's already got a girlfriend at this point. He's already...
So
he's already banging Lady Rainicorn.
Is Adventure Time like super misogynistic? I mean, because apparently like every woman we've met so far is like some horrible manipulative harpy.
No.
Tree Trunks and Bubblegum are like the two ladies we met so far, and they're both manipulating with their lady bits.
Tree Trunks is manipulative. I don't know that Bubblegum is necessarily... I think Bubblegum views herself as more of a mother figure to Finn.
A flirty mother figure.
Well,
Could
only
be worse.
flirty until she realizes that it's gone too far, which I think we'll see in a few episodes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Also, and this is something we should probably have talked about earlier, do you think Princess Bubblegum has human genitalia?
I doubt it.
Because she's like literally bubblegum.
She's made out of bubblegum, and we see her earlier form later on, and she is literally like a sentient mass of bubblegum.
But isn't that how babies are made?
That's not how she makes babies. She makes babies in a lab, remember?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So anyhow, Bubblegum shows Finn a vision of the Enchiridion, and the quest begins.
Yeah, you have to go up MacGuffin Mountain to get to the...
Yeah, so like this episode is chock full of D&D references, and I'm just going to mention a few of them. Gnomes show up, and the gnomes are illusionists, which is like a very, very classic D&D thing. Gnomes are magic users who specialize in illusion magic. They talk about Finn's heroic attributes on multiple times. Ooh, that was bad English, but you guys get what I'm saying. There's this whole thing about good, evil, and neutral. The unaligned.
The unaligned ant. Yeah, I made that note in my thing.
Yeah, and how Finn has to choose between like will there's this test in his mind, like will you slay evil things, and Finn is like, yes, I'll always slay evil, and then the creature's like, will you slay this ant? And Finn's like, is the ant evil? He is neither good nor evil, he is neutral. And so Finn has to like make his decision, like he's going to be good, which means he's not going to kill neutral things. He's not going to kill things that aren't actively evil. And we see this over and over again later on, like Finn's character sort of shines through in the way that he works to help and put faith in all sorts of creatures, right? Like I think we see it in the we're going to see it in the next episode, actually.
I don't remember what the next one is, but we'll hold that for our next episode.
So I was just really I was really struck by the amount of... I realized that I was sort of talking off axis to my microphone.
It's fine. As long, you're good.
But I was really struck by not only the amount of D&D style references that were shoved into this episode, but also the kind of like the poignancy of like proving Finn's righteousness in order to receive the Enchiridion.
Yeah.
And the Enchiridion, like it really, really ends up being such an important MacGuffin. It's a world ender, Yeah.
I mean, it carries the next couple seasons.
Yeah, it is definitely, the red herring that really stinks up the trash.
We're using a lot of metaphors here.
Well, MacGuffins and red herrings are really similar.
Yeah. Yeah, they're close enough.
I feel like MacGuffins and red herrings are kind of the same thing.
Well, I know. I think MacGuffin is the Maltese Falcon is a MacGuffin. Somebody else being Kaiser Sose is the red is a red herring. Yeah. But
okay.
they're. I mean, you're right. Like,
you're right.
they'd be next to each other in the book on screenwriting.
They're definitely they're plot elements.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I really love this episode. I thought that there was just like something really charming about it. I thought that this episode I thought had a really, really good message, which is do good and trust your heart, strive to be righteous and good,
and throw gnomes in lava.
You know, it was probably illusionary lava. And
they were jerks. No,
they were there to begin with.
They deserved
it.
it.
Faking blowing up old ladies.
Here's one of the runners that happens in the rest of Adventure Time that I think is...
Every time you say Adventure Time, I'm going to kill an old lady.
Yeah, what do I care? That's on you, dude. That's the weight of your sins, not mine. What I love about the show, and it starts becoming more apparent later, that I don't know how to word this in modern parlance, but the kind of, what's a positive way of saying woke?
Why can't woke be positive?
Because it's got like a negative connotation these days. But the amount of kind of social justice that happens and the amount of kind of healthy masculinity that comes through the show, that Finn's response of like how he solved the key equation was, I don't know, I thought you looked cute, shoved in there. Finn is unafraid of saying things are cute. Like, and it goes through the whole thing. Like, there's not a masculine bravado grossness. Like, this feels like it comes from a generation after ours.
Yeah, I mean, there was that that joke in one of the earlier episodes that we already discussed, where he was kind of afraid of being, of saying that like he found a man attractive or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But it was mild and it wasn't that serious.
No, but they brought it up. The fact that it's even addressed, because Finn says he's hot. No, I don't mean hot like sexy. I mean, the fact that he even brought that up is like, that's awareness. I mean, maybe it's because we're old men, but when I was a kid, that was...
you couldn't say it. You would be ridiculed by your
and
friends.
there's a lot of that. Like, there's just a lot of kind of positive... I don't know, it's wholesome in the generation past ours way, which is nice. And him just saying something look cute just reminds me, like, when it's one of the great horrors that was perpetrated on men in our generation and everyone preceding, at least in the West, is no, you're not allowed to have emotions. Like, no, like you're bad. Emotions are bad. And that's not how you raise humans. That's how you raise broken things.
Yeah,
and it's nice to see just a little kid having emotions. Like, Jake says, "I love you" constantly, even though he's technically a magical dog, but still, he's ostensibly male.
He's male. He makes babies with Lady Rainicorn.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. She's also magical, and I've seen that he's stretched here, there, and everywhere, and I've never seen any Jake balls.
Well, you know what? Lady Rainicorn isn't necessarily magical.
I mean, she's like interdimensional.
Yeah, she comes from a different dimension.
Yeah, she's like normal. Well, I mean,
what is she? A Rainicorn.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if you're an interdimensional being that has, when moving to this area, things that would be powers, I think you would count as magical.
Okay, all right, that might be true.
Like, let's say in the dimension next door, they don't have the ability to poop, and you walk over there and like eat a sandwich and wait 24 hours. That's essentially magic. You transmuted the very substance of nature into something else in front of them.
I love transmuting.
Yes, I find it very relaxing. That's one of the things you learn about, and one of the key to the Philosopher's Stone is actually fiber.
Enter my brain world, and I will show you some aspect of yourself that you are not entirely aware of.
So, the only other kind of... and then the other thing is the manly Minotaur, which you'd expect to be manly, but he's kind of effete. He's nice. It's like, oh, come, let's have a tea party together.
Yeah. But he's so muscly. Like, he when he flexes, his muscles have muscles.
Which is totally fine. I wish I was raised in this generation.
Yeah, me too. I mean, just... If I had Finn and Jake as role models when I was 10, I think I would have had an easier time with life. There'd be a lot more stumbling blocks. A lot of my kind of emotional damage that occurred, I think, would have been so much easier. At least understand why it was coming that way. And then he gets the Enchiridion, and fun joke is the first page he turns to is how to kiss princesses, which sets up the Finn has a crush on Princess Bubblegum for the remainder of the show. Yeah, I mean, or at least for a couple seasons.
I mean, it keeps going up until she turns out to be, LGBT queer.
Well, I think that they have a couple really honest discussions about it at some point. Where...
Well, because remember that time where she loses weight, so therefore she's younger, and they like essentially make out.
Do they?
Or at least they have like a romantic thing.
They do, but also at the same time, like we do learn that she never really thought of it that way.
Except for when she was young.
Yeah, but she's only young for a minute. Because apparently her age is based on her mass, which is weird.
I mean, I've only evidenced myself, but I mean that feels like actually pretty 1-to-1. It's been a pretty steep. That math works out for me.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about the Enchiridion itself. Can you look up the definition of Enchiridion? I was going to do that.
Yes.
Instead, I'm going to get this beer.
What I would like you to do
is...
Did you bring a book with you?
I did.
Do you have it out? Get your beer. If it's not out, why don't you get it out?
I'm getting there. Getting there. But I'll talk a little bit about it. Like, there's a... just in case our audience doesn't know how satisfying it is to open a beer... Just in case our audience doesn't know, like, a grimoire is a sort of book of magic, a book of magical spells and magical procedures and stuff in the real world. Like, we actually have grimoires in the Alexx and Erik universe, not just in the Finn and Jake universe. And there is a famous or infamous grimoire called the Enchiridion of Leo II, or maybe the Enchiridion of Leo III.
Well, the one that I found is the Enchiridion of
Epictetus?
Thank you. I knew how to do it in my head, and then the second I ran into that CTET, like, blah, and that comes from 135. Oh, this is ACE, which isn't a
That's
thing.
not a thing.
Well, this is from classics.mit.edu.
They
so
probably know what they're talking about. So the Enchiridion of Epictetus is not a grimoire, though. That, I believe, is a philosophical treatise.
It's a short manual of Stoic ethical advice compiled by Arian, a second-century disciple of Greek philosopher Epictetus.
Yeah.
Oh, I did pretty good that time.
Yeah, good job. So I think an Enchiridion is pretty typically kind of like a manual of some sort. Like it's some sort of instruction manual.
Oh, which works very well for D&D purposes.
It does. Yeah, and it works well for this too, right? Like the Enchiridion is an instruction manual for heroes in Adventure Time. The Enchiridion of Leo III or Leo II or whatever is an instruction manual for, summoning demons. Now in my head, so when I was talking to Alex earlier today and I was sort of plotting like, what am I going to bring for show and tell in our friggin' podcast? I was thinking, do we have a name for this segment?
We don't need to name every segment.
Show and tell.
Yeah, here's that thing I brought.
Yeah.
Here, I'll do the theme song. Here's that thing I brought. It's in my hand now. The end.
Yeah. Good job. That was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be good.
Go back to your Tree Trunks voice.
Oh, here's our next segment.
When I was thinking about this, in my head, I got two different Pope-named grimoires mixed up, because the one that I brought is the Sworn Book of Honorius, which is named after Pope Honorius. And I don't own the Enchiridion of Leo. I don't have a copy of that. So I did bring the Sworn Book of Honorius. And this is, for those of you who are interested in grimoires, if you can find it, I think it recently went out of print, so it might be kind of tough to find. But... it's Liber Juratus Honori. Look at this beautiful cover. That's
a very pretty cover.
Yeah. Okay, so you see this cool symbol in the middle of that cover? Does that look familiar to you?
That looks like the thing from John Dee's Mirror.
It is.
Yeah.
So the Sworn Book of Honorius is where the Sigillum Dei Ameth comes from.
Oh, really?
The sigil of the truth of God.
Oh, no shit.
And it's not, I think that in the original manuscript, I don't think it's actually drawn out, it's just described. And the version that it uses, or that it describes, is very, very close to what John Dee has. And this book, it looks thick. It's, 330 pages, but it's a facing page translation, so it's only half that size. So you get the Latin and the English in here on facing pages. And it is a very fun grimoire, if you can get past the first half. The first half is just tons and tons and tons of very, very devout religious prayers. And then it has one of my favorite grimoire spells in it, which is this this magic summoning circle thing that you make in the woods, and it has the instructions include something like, go out in the woods, carve out a 12-foot circle, and put all these magic symbols around it, etc., etc., etc. You may invite up to 3 friends. Make sure they bring wine.
Oh, nice.
Because the idea is everybody's going to hang out in this big-ass magic circle. The magician is going to be doing his grimoire magic, chanting barbarous names and prayers in Latin and lighting candles and incense and wearing funny hats and robes and waving around swords and wands and stuff. And meanwhile, his friends are all just going to be hanging out and they're drinking wine.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which
I'd be into that.
Like an awesome idea.
Yeah, I don't have to do anything. You just sit there and somebody else does the magic for me. Fuck yeah. It's like a dream.
But it's just, like the Enchiridion always makes me think of this grimoire, even though it's the wrong pope.
Aren't they all the wrong pope?
Yes, I would say every pope is a wrong pope.
Except for Pope Joan. I would have voted for her.
I would have voted for her too, except that, of course, we don't get to vote.
True.
For popes.
And I think one of the things, I think Pope Joan technically is like a myth, but...
yeah, it's, Pope Joan was, like 1,000 years ago, so who knows if Pope Joan is a myth or real. Pope Joan is definitely the sort of thing that the Catholic Church would like to tell us is a myth.
So here's the thing I know about Pope Joan, just to describe to the audience. So there's a apocryphal story that says at one point a woman dressed as a man and became pope.
Yeah.
And she was Pope Joan. So ever since then, and I don't know if the ceremony's real, but ever since then, they carry every new pope wearing essentially a skirt over their heads on like a, what would you call that? Like a
sedan chair sort of thing.
Yeah. With the bottom cut out so that you can see the genitals. And they say in Latin, I see his testicles and they are well hung. This is the story behind it. Is that to prove that you are red, you have to have swinging testicles. Yeah. This is not like a one-off thing. Like if you search for that, there's hundreds upon hundreds. It's like a well-known.
Yeah.
It
I've
sounds
heard this too. You don't really hear people say it out loud very often.
Yes, and also I just don't remember the Latin at all, but which is really fun in Latin because you generally when you hear Latin, you think of like fancy Ponzi stuff, but I have to stop saying Ponzi, damn it. Fancy Dan stuff.
I feel like we should get that Latin phrase and use it as the motto for our podcast.
Well, let's find out what it is right now.
Okay. I see
Latin,
his testicles and they're well hung. It would be
Pope
something like...
Joan, I see his testicles. That should be enough. Sone due et bene pendete, testiculos habet et bene pendete. So it's, there are 2 and hanging well. He has balls and they're hanging well. Those are the 2 different... Yeah.
That's excellent.
Testiculus habet is anyway, Pope Joan. All right, so would any other things about your grimoire?
I don't think I have anything else about the grimoire. I would encourage people to look it up. I'll make sure to send you a link so you can put it in the show notes.
Yes,
because it is an interesting one, and this is actually a fairly old one. I believe that this particular grimoire is kind of mixed up with the invention of Christian Kabbalah, too. And, of course, Honorius will be oh boy. Okay, now I'm not going to get too far into, like, the Agrippa weeds. I'm almost done with my Agrippa, making my Agrippa series right now. In Agrippa, there's a section on magical alphabets, which he took from Johannes Trithemius's book, Polygraphia. And in both of those, there is a magical alphabet called the alphabet of Honorius. And it, I believe, is the same... Hold on, I was just looking at that page. I believe it is the alphabet that ends up being used as sort of like the witches' alphabet nowadays, which is kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. What's that called? There's a word for that.
The witches' alphabet.
No, but they call it something else.
Do they?
Yeah. I read all that witchy stuff when I was in high school. I don't remember any of it.
Here's the magical alphabet of Honorius. Yeah. You can take a look at it. You've probably seen it before.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, that does look familiar to me.
Yeah, I think it ends up getting used as sort of like the witches' alphabet now.
Yeah.
But maybe you're right. Maybe they do use a different name for it.
Well, let's find out since we're talking about it.
Okay.
I'm going to type it into my my repository of all human knowledge here.
Ooh.
Witches alpha... I mean, there might be multiple, but there's a Theban. That's what I was thinking of.
Theban, yeah. Is it the same?
Oh, I don't
think Theban is the same.
I don't know if I'd know how to...
They're,
oh, no, here we go. I got a nice...
They're pretty similar.
They're exactly the same.
Okay.
I mean, I looked up for... Oh, yeah, it's from Johannes Trithemius, published in 1518.
Okay.
So, yeah, apparently they call it Theban in modern witchiness.
Okay. Yes. So it's a fun, weird little alphabet that you can use, especially if you're Finn's age right now. You can totally use it in school to communicate secretly with your friends. And since there doesn't currently seem to be a satanic panic, you probably won't get expelled.
Yeah, and now that you can pray in schools, you need like something cool to pray to. So yeah,
totally.
I
Yes,
recommend
yes.
the devil.
Oh, you know what? What I would recommend is so you can. There are some amazing places on Etsy where you can get like laser engraved wooden discs with the Sigillum Dei Ameth, and I mean they're big. They probably end up being like, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches across. Get one of those. Put a little like eyelet on the top and wear it as a big ol' Flava Flav style necklace.
Yes. And I can't tell you how much young people are going to understand a Flava Flav reference.
We've already used some Latin. We've talked about popes from 1,000 years ago and grimoires from
fair
the
enough.
15th century.
Yeah, point well made. Yeah. All right, so let's do one last little segment before we go. I would like to do the segment, what are we watching? What are we reading?
Oh, yeah,
what are we
let's
doing?
do what are we watching? What are you watching?
You go first because I don't have an idea.
Okay, I have two things. One of them I'm not going to talk about. I'll just mention I watched the penultimate episode of the new Stranger Things season. It's an excellent series so far. It totally delivers exactly what Netflix promises it will be. It's like a thick, giant bowl of 80s nostalgia and oats. It's delicious, So
Now, let me ask you about... So I have watched all Stranger Things, and I watched it in a run. Now, there's going to be no spoilers. I'm just going to ask you one question.
Okay.
Guitar?
Okay.
In the last episode, there is the coolest thing that ever happens in the history of anything.
Like in the last episode of this season?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, that's why...
It's 2.5 hours long. Who the hell has time for a 2.5 hour episode? I'm going to need some marijuana.
Me. And I had marijuana at the time, so it worked out really well. Okay.
So you watched it already, but it just came out like this week.
Yeah, I had a... what I'm going to refer to as a mental health failure of a weekend, wherein I did fuck all and just wanted comforting things, one of which was Stranger Things.
Yeah. I guess I kind of did that yesterday, but instead I played video games.
Yeah, same concept. Anyway, your second thing.
Okay, the second thing is Ms. Marvel, which I know these are both like very popular things that everybody's watching, but I'm really, really enjoying Ms. Marvel. It is a delight. And I was just really thrilled with the most recent episode where they went to Karachi, which is a city that I have very, very little awareness of. I've got a good buddy who's Pakistani, who wasn't really raised there, so he doesn't... I don't know that he has... He actually showed me a picture of him in Karachi when he was like a little kid with his dad. But I think that was the most recent picture he had of himself in Karachi. But it's just fascinating to me that there are these cities like Karachi, these cultural centers. Like Karachi is, I think, like among the top 20 largest cities in the world.
Yeah.
Like it is a mammoth city. It is a crossroads of tons of different cultures. A big part of its crossroadiness is like a very direct result of the British Empire being a steaming pile of assholes. And I want to go there. I totally want to go there. I know that I will sweat a lot. It's probably very hot there. But but I really, really want to visit Karachi.
Yeah, Karachi does seem really rad. I feel like you would need like a tour guide. It's one of those packed just... Oh, yeah. Oh, that seems overwhelming.
When I think of like cities in kind of... the subcontinent area, the Indian subcontinent area, most of them just seemed far too intimidating. Like Mumbai, for instance, with its, 500 billion people or something like that. Like, Mumbai is so big that there's a new Mumbai, and they're both part of the same city.
Yeah.
And it's just so friggin' enormous. Yeah. Like, I just look at the number of people living there, and my brain shuts down, and I'm like, I can't ever go to Mumbai.
Yeah, that seems overwhelming. Yeah.
And I am fascinated, I'm fascinated by the history of India. Maybe part of our, this podcast might be Adventure Time / History of India.
Well, as we go on, I am going to prattle on about Mahabharata.
I'm going to crack open some of my history books again. Looks like it's time to get back in there.
That's a reread Mahabharata, by the way, in the next few years, because it's been a couple of years.
Do you have a full set?
I have it on, Kindle. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've read it a few times. Yeah.
The whole thing?
Yeah, it's really not that long.
It's like 15 books.
Yeah, but it's like 15 books of poem verse. So it's like...
I mean, all right.
I think it's... I wonder how many words it is. Wait, hold on.
It's got to be 1 million words.
I was about to say 1 million, but 1 million words is what? That's 5 big books worth of words. I mean, it's not that...
I know. It's just, it's always seemed really intimidating to me. And I accidentally read...
1.8 million words.
Okay, so
but
that's
I mean,
like 10... That's like the Wheel of Time.
But think about how many books we read and how much... I mean, it's not that big of a...
Yeah, I mean, and I'm thinking about, like, I read Gibbon's History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, which is probably about the same length.
Also...
And way drier, although Gibbon has, like, this amazing sense of humor.
Those books have the best spine art of any book ever.
Oh, really? I read it.
So on the spines, it's like dictionary style, but the first book has a full, like, kind of Doric column, and then it starts, disintegrating as it moves down. It is such a beautiful concept.
Yeah, I have seen that. I don't remember. Is that, like, the first edition?
I don't know. It's just the one that I've seen before, and it just looks wonderful. All right, so I'm going to tell you about what I've been watching.
Oh, yeah. What have you been watching?
If I talked about this last time, tell me. But did I talk about Deep Space Nine last time?
No.
So I'm a huge Deep Space Nine fan. And I signed up for Netflix to watch something or another. I don't like giving them money, but I wanted to watch something. So I was just trying to jam in as much stuff as I didn't have access to. And Deep Space Nine's on there, and I adore that show. And talking about, like, kind of positive masculinity. The story of O'Brien and Julian Bashir becoming friends and then becoming best friends and then becoming almost brothers over the course of the show is so beautiful. And I'm in the heart of them. I think I just watched an episode where O'Brien it's not even a point of the show, but just casually calls him my best friend. He's like, "Oh, you're my best friend." And it's so beautiful. Like, it really is you don't see adult male friendships form in shows. And from this grizzled, I'm annoyed by you, to becoming besties is such a beautiful thing. So I recommend, and the rest of the show is great too, but recommend wholeheartedly. Skip the episodes that's all Ferengi. None of them are good.
I've never finished watching Deep Space Nine, but I think it was over the pandemic that I watched most of it, and I think I've just got some stuff in the final season to watch.
Final season lands reasonably well. For a show that lasted that long and it's a Star Trek show, it does pretty well.
You know, the best friend thing is interesting. I have had male friends refer to me as their best friend before, and it gives me like a moment of panic, like the same the same kind of moment of panic that, like, you know, when you have anybody sort of like ask you to enter into any sort of relationship, and you're like, "Fuck, I can't handle this level of commitment. This is a lot of responsibility. What do you mean, best friend?" So, yeah, I can understand why it's sort of a thing that you can really enjoy seeing. Bashir saying. Just kind of.
And there goes the announcement I was going to make at the end of this episode, but okay, that's fine.
Oh boy! Wow! Let's listen to this amazing outro music.
Yeah, I really enjoy that thing. It's so difficult to make adult male friendships. There is so much against it, especially people of our age, which I was talking about earlier in the episode. We were trained to not have emotions and to just willingly admit to someone like, "Oh, I care for you" as an adult. It's a difficult thing. So watching that show has been fun.
Yeah,
let me just walk back the Ferengi comment. Some people like those episodes. I find them. I'm not there.
I enjoyed them. I liked the Ferengi episodes, but mainly because there was sort of like a world building thing going on, and mainly because they really highlighted how much earlier writers had fucked up the Ferengi.
True, yeah.
Like this whole thing about the Ferengi women always being naked and stuff. Yeah. Like, it's so stupid and so misogynistic. And it's just like this, it's like this echo of misogyny from the writers, too. Like, it's sort of like, what if there was this alien race and all their women were naked? Like, that would be amazing.
Well, no, but what's great about the way they handle in Deep Space Nine is the only Ferengi women we ever see are elderly. Not to be, ageist, but they're not showing nubile, young Ferengi people. And that culture is painted as kind of garbage heaps from the Federation perspective. Like, all of they're obsessed with greed. They treat their women like shit. It's not like I think the original writers probably had that idea, and then later kind of more, or at least it ended up coming out in the wash of, this is a comment on how shitty people that think of us. Yeah.
And there is a social sort of cultural revolution going on among the Ferengi during that series that I think is really kind of
Quark's mom back on
Yeah.
Ferenginar, which is it's such a funny planet name. But yes,
I mean,
Deep
I
Space
guess
Nine. Love.
we're Earthlings and we come from Earth.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just Ferenginar has like
We're literally calling ourselves dirt people.
yeah. I've thought that before. What a terrible name.
Okay, wait, are we done?
I think we're done.
Okay, so next episode we will be discussing season 1 episodes 6 and 7.
Correct.
Which I recently watched and I've already forgotten the titles of, but they're excellent episodes. All of season 1 is excellent, and just like all of our season 1, it's pretty much,
it's gonna be great.
yeah.
Do we meet Marceline in 6 and 7? I know she shows up relatively soon.
She's pretty soon, but I don't remember. I hope so.
I think she might be more like 10.
Marceline is awesome.
She's my maybe my favorite character.
Maybe mine too. We might have to fight over this.
Well, you can like Marshall Lee. Her male form.
I'm Team Marceline.
I don't know. You're more like a Marshall Lee
Come on.
kind of guy.
I'm pretty sure I sang the Daddy song.
I'm pretty sure I did too.
On your podcast.
No, but I'm pretty sure I did too. To be honest with you, I think both of us did. If anybody, we've referenced it before, but a Halloween episode of the Alexx cast, Erik came on and we tried to summon Hunt's Nabadir using the summoning ceremony shown on Adventure Time. So
Yeah, and that's actually season 2, episode 1. Which will be at.
Oh yeah,
soon.
yeah. Maybe we can grab that thing. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
This has been Wiz Biz with Alexx and Erik, and I hope you join us next time.
Yeah, and I'm Erik, by the way. I never introduced myself at the beginning. I just assumed you knew.
I'm not sure if I introduced me either.
I introduced you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's Erik. Now we're even.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, Gunter.